Hey everyone, welcome back to Dr. Wonderworks. Today we're diving deep into the darkest corners of the human psyche as we explore the chilling stories of the top 10 most dangerous serial killers in history. Get ready for twisted tales of murder, mystery, and madness. We'll be uncovering the disturbing details of their crimes, analyzing their motives, and trying to understand what drove them to commit such horrific acts. If you're fascinated by true crime and the psychology behind these criminal masterminds, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming content. Now let's get started. First up, we have Ted Bundy, a name synonymous with charm and manipulation. Bundy's charisma allowed him to gain the trust of his victims, often luring them to their deaths. Imagine thinking you're helping someone, only to become trapped by a monster. Bundy's case is a chilling reminder that evil can hide beneath unassuming facades. He meticulously planned his crimes, often revisiting his victims' remains. Bundy's case captivated the nation, not just for the brutality, but also for his audacity in escaping custody. His trial became a media sensation, with Bundy representing himself in court. Despite overwhelming evidence, Bundy maintained his innocence until shortly before his execution in 1989. Even in death, Ted Bundy remains an enigma, a chilling reminder of the darkness beneath a charming exterior. Next, we delve into the disturbing world of Jeffrey Dahmer, known as the Milwaukee Monster. Dahmer's crimes shocked the world with their depravity, involving cannibalism, necrophilia, and the preservation of body parts. Dahmer's descent into madness seemed to stem from a deep-seated loneliness and a desire for control. He would lure young men to his apartment, drug them, and then carry out his gruesome fantasies. What's particularly disturbing about Dahmer's case is how he managed to evade capture for so long. His apartment, which reeked of decay, went largely unnoticed, and his victims, often marginalized young men, seemed to disappear without a trace. It wasn't until one of his intended victims managed to escape and alert authorities that Dahmer's reign of terror finally came to an end. Dahmer's trial was a media spectacle, with experts dissecting his psyche and attempting to understand the root of his evil. He was ultimately sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms, but was murdered in prison in 1994. Our next case takes us into the twisted world of John Wayne Gacy, the killer clown who used his seemingly innocent persona to mask his horrific crimes. Gacy was a well-known figure in his community, often dressing up as Pogo the Clown for children's parties. Behind this jovial facade lurked a sadist who tortured and murdered at least 33 young men and boys, burying most of them in the crawl space beneath his house. Gacy's case is a stark reminder that evil can often hide in plain sight. He was convicted on all counts of murder and sentenced to death. Gacy was executed in 1994. Chapter 4, get ready to delve into the terrifying world of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker who terrorized Los Angeles in the mid-1980s. Ramirez was a true predator, breaking into homes in the dead of night, his victims never knowing when or where he would strike next. His crimes were marked by their brutality and seemingly random nature, targeting men, women, and children alike. Ramirez's calling card was his penchant for satanic symbols, often left at crime scenes or carved into the bodies of his victims. This, coupled with his wild-eyed appearance and chaotic energy, painted him as a demonic figure in the public imagination. Can you imagine the fear that gripped Los Angeles during his reign of terror? The city was on edge, with people afraid to sleep in their own homes, never knowing if they would become his next victim. Ramirez's capture was a testament to the power of community vigilance. After his image was released to the public, he was recognized and apprehended by a group of citizens. Chapter 5. Now let's talk about Ed Gein, a name that sends chills down the spines of even the most hardened horror fans. Gein wasn't your typical serial killer. His crimes were so shocking they transcended true crime and seeped into our nightmares. He exhumed corpses, fashioning trophies from their skin and bones. Imagine lampshades made of human skin, bowls from skulls, and a belt crafted from nipples. His House of Horrors inspired films like Psycho, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Silence of the Lambs. Experts believe mental illness, social isolation, and a warped relationship with his mother drove him to madness.
Breaking news.
Chapter 6. Our next case takes us on a road trip down the highways of Florida with Aileen Wuornos, one of the few female serial killers to achieve such notoriety. Wuornos' story is one of hardship, abuse, and ultimately revenge. She lived a transient life, working as a prostitute along Florida's highways, where she claimed to have killed 7 men in self-defense. Wuornos' case sparked a national debate about victimhood, trauma, and the death penalty. Was she a cold-blooded killer or a victim of circumstance, driven to extreme measures by the abuse she suffered? Her story is a tragic reminder of the complex realities of life on the margins of society and the lasting impact of trauma. Wuornos' case, like many others on this list, captivated the media. Her fiery personality and insistence on her innocence, despite overwhelming evidence, made her a controversial figure. Now we're stepping back in time to Victorian London, a city shrouded in fog and fear to uncover the mystery of Jack the Ripper. This unidentified serial killer terrorized the Whitechapel district in 1888, brutally murdering at least 5 women, mostly prostitutes. What sets Jack the Ripper apart is not just the gruesome nature of his crimes, but the mystery that still surrounds his identity. Despite numerous theories and suspects, his true identity remains a mystery to this day. The Ripper's reign of terror was short-lived but impactful, forever etching his name in the annals of criminal history. Jack the Ripper's crimes exposed the dark underbelly of Victorian society, highlighting the vulnerability of women, particularly those living in poverty. The lack of closure surrounding his identity continues to fascinate and frustrate, making him a subject of endless speculation and debate. Chapter 8. Hold on tight as we delve into the chilling case of Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, who holds the grim record for one of the highest confirmed body counts in U.S. history. Ridgway preyed on women and girls, often runaways or sex workers, along Washington State's Highway 99. His crimes terrorized the Pacific Northwest for over 2 decades, with the body count continuing to climb while authorities struggled to identify and apprehend the perpetrator. What makes Ridgway's case particularly disturbing is his method of killing. He would often strangle his victims during moments of intimacy, later returning to their bodies to engage in necrophilia. Ridgway's ability to evade capture for so long can be attributed to his meticulous nature and his ability to blend in with society. He was a seemingly ordinary man leading an ordinary life while secretly committing horrific acts. Chapter 9. Get ready for another descent into darkness as we explore the case of David Berkowitz, the son of Sam, who terrorized New York City in the summer of 1976. Berkowitz's crimes were marked by their seemingly random nature and his taunting letters to the police and media. He would target young couples in parked cars, often shooting them with a .44 caliber revolver. New York City was gripped by fear during the summer of '76. The son of Sam became a boogeyman, a symbol of urban terror. People were afraid to go out at night, especially young couples who were his primary targets. The media frenzy surrounding the case only fueled Berkowitz's desire for attention, further terrorizing the city. His capture was a result of a parking ticket given to his car near the scene of his final crime. Chapter 10. And finally, we end our journey with Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, a moniker he gave himself that stood for Bind, Torture, Kill. Rader terrorized Wichita, Kansas between 1974 and 1991, murdering 10 people, including 2 children. What made Rader's case particularly chilling was his methodical nature and his correspondence with the police and media. He would send taunting letters and packages, often containing details of his crimes or items taken from his victims. Rader was a master manipulator, living a double life as a seemingly normal family man and a respected member of his church community, all while secretly indulging in his dark fantasies. He managed to evade capture for over 3 decades, blending into society and living a seemingly normal life. His eventual capture came as a result of his own arrogance. He resurfaced in 2004, sending a letter to the police on a floppy disk, which ultimately led to his arrest. Outro. Well, there you have it. the chilling stories of the top 10 most dangerous serial killers. These cases remind us that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places, and that evil often wears a human face. If you enjoyed this journey into the darkest corners of human nature, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Dr. Wonderworks for more intriguing content. Stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we think we know.